The dawn sets on the Barroso years. 2004 to 2014 were dominated by recession, enlargement, climate change and crisis in Ukraine. But starting out, José Manuel Barroso had big ambitions.
Bien sûr, notre engagement en matière de changement climatique. Tout le monde reconnaît que nous avons le leadership dans le monde. J'ai reçu les compliments pour la Commission du président Obama, du secrétaire général des Nations Unies. Je suis pour une croissance verte, une croissance soutenable. Mais je ne suis pas pour désindustrialiser l'Europe.
So 10 years on, is the verdict positive?
We have today more members inside of the European Union than before. We have more members in the Eurozone than before. And that shows that the people are trusting, the states are trusting in the European approach, and that is closely linked to the Commission President during the last 10 years.
The Barroso years were far from easy. Since 2009, Europe has faced the worst post-war economic crisis. Unemployment, bank failures and privatisations were daily bread.
We were at the border of the abyss. And what happened? Not only there was no exit of the euro, now we are going to welcome the 19th member of the euro. Lithuania will join us.
Il nostro continente sprofonda nella disoccupazione e mi spiace che lei non abbia citato questa parola. Il peccato originale si chiama austerità. In nome di una visione ideologica si sono ridotti gli investimenti, si è tagliata la spesa produttiva, impedendo così agli Stati membri di scommettere sul loro futuro.
Barroso's response: stronger rules built to prevent future crises.
The Commission today has more powers in terms of governance of the Eurozone than before the crisis. The European Central Bank has today the possibility to make direct supervision of the banks in Europe, something that will be considered impossible. It could be almost unimaginable before the crisis.
We have heard Mr. Barroso over these 10 years speaking a lot about Eurobonds, about solidarity, about growth, about employment, and at the end we have the most unequal European society ever. It's not a question of words, it's a question of taking the action.
EFDD, Mr. Farage.
Well, Mr. Barroso, 10 years we've been trading blows in this Parliament, and indeed I'm the only person on today's speaker list that was involved 10 years ago. And I found you, I have to say, for the vast majority of that time, very civil, but often bemused by what I've had to say and by events in Europe as they've unfolded. In fact, I remember the first speech I gave. You presented your new Commission, and I pointed out to you that your nominee from France, Mr. Jacques Barrot, was in fact a convicted embezzler who had received a 2-year suspended prison sentence and been barred from public office. And my shock at that moment was that you simply showed me in your face you had no idea that it was true, but of course it was. Perhaps that comes from your early days as an active student Maoist, where you believe in big ideas that don't perhaps have much practical reality. But I've enjoyed much of what you've said over the years. Indeed, I particularly enjoyed you the day after the Irish, the only country indeed that had a referendum on the Lisbon Treaty, when the Irish voted no to Lisbon. And you stood up and said the Irish didn't really mean no, and I particularly enjoyed that. I also enjoyed you saying that the European Union was the first ever non-imperial empire, because in that you showed so much of what this project has now become. I don't think anybody doubts that those that got together in the 1950s after 2 ruinous world wars with the genuine intention of getting the French and Germans to sit round the table, talk together and trade together. No one doubts that was the right thing to do. But it's morphed and changed into something else. And it's your analogy to an empire that indeed has led to the current failure. It is the extension to allow in more and more countries. It is the expansion of the Eurozone to let in Mediterranean countries that should never have joined in the first place and that are now suffering so horribly. So I view you as a fantasist, but at no point have I ever implied that you were dishonest. You're not. You're very honest indeed. I remember you telling Martin Callanan, who led the Conservative group here for some time, as the Conservative Party under David Cameron's leadership became more Eurosceptic with each British parliamentary by-election. And you telling Martin Callanan, look, don't try and be like UKIP, because actually the voters will go for the real thing, and you were right, we won the European elections. But thank you for last Sunday, thank you for appearing on British television, thank you for confirming that the real fantasist isn't you, it's David Cameron, the British Prime Minister, who pretends that we can restrict free movement and remain members of the European Union. You made it clear that he was wrong, he was deceiving the British people, and you made it clear that you were the boss and not him. And for that I thank you and wish you a very happy retirement indeed.
So as Barroso's tenure draws to a close, a new era ushers in. Jean-Claude Juncker, the man from Luxembourg, has pledged a more social and green commission. Is a new Europe on the horizon?